Hey folks, welcome to Movie News Monday, where every single Monday live on Twitch, we cover the news of the week regarding the film industry, the TV industry, the entertainment industry, the DCU, the MCU, all the U's. You know what I'm talking about, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and come check us out live. We have a fun time here. We discover buttons that we accidentally programmed into our computer and have a great time with it. Let's jump into the news, and first things folks, The Simpsons are headed back to the big screen. Simpsons are going back for a sequel set in the summer of 2027. That was a tongue twister. That's right, The Simpsons are coming back. There is another theatrical movie coming out. If you remember back in, good lord, when was it? It was a long time ago. It should have been 2007. Oh my god, was it really that long ago? 20 years. Wow, that just hit me in the face. 20 years in between the first Simpsons movie and the sequel coming to theaters in the next couple of years. You know, The Simpsons was meant to end with that movie, but they have found new life again and again, and ever since shifting over to Disney Plus following the 20th Century acquisition that took place years ago, Simpsons have had a really successful life on streaming. They've been doing great, and so it does make sense that they would head back to the movie theaters and continue to capitalize on that brand. I do find it interesting that Disney is okay relying on the Simpsons brand when it's not one that they take a lot of direct revenue in other areas. I'm particularly thinking about the Simpsons themed area that is part of Universal's Island of Adventures in Florida, where Disney does not have the rights for the Simpsons in their theme parks. That being said, I don't know that it would gel very well with any Disney park. All things considered, this is fun and exciting. I'm personally not a big fan of The Simpsons. I don't really seek them out, but I did enjoy The Simpsons movie. We did get an official teaser poster here. Homer's coming back for seconds, of course. 20 years is crazy in between these movies. Has it really been 20 years? Wow. Another interesting tidbit here that's not necessarily Simpsons specific news, but the film has taken the July 2027 theatrical window, which was originally reserved for an untitled Marvel project. There had been a lot of speculation because this is the only film that was slated for Marvel in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and it seems as though that project has been pulled, and it is instead that release date is being given to another film in Disney's slate. That's one of the benefits of them being a massive media conglomerate. But it is sad to know that we're going to go basically a full year between December 2026 and December 2027 without a Marvel release. But what do you think? Are you a fan of The Simpsons? Are you excited to see them return to the big screen? What are you hoping to see? Is there anything that The Simpsons hasn't covered yet in their over 30 years of being on television, in the 20 years in between the original movie? Oh my god, I can't believe it's been 20 years. I remember this movie coming out. Denis Villeneuve is reportedly going to be casting for an unknown British actor for his interpretation of James Bond. If you haven't heard, Amazon MGM has acquired the rights to James Bond. They spent quite the pretty penny on it, and they did tap Denis Villeneuve of the Dune franchise to direct the movie. The film is being written by Stephen Knight, and it is going into production as soon as Dune Messiah is done filming. And Deadline reports that those familiar with the casting have confirmed that the director and the collaborators are seeking a fresh face to take on the 007 mantle. They did also confirm that James Bond will be male and will be British. Some folks had speculated, given the way that Bond 25 ended, given the way that, you know, culture and society has gone. Maybe there was speculation that it would be someone else taking on the mantle, but they are confirming that their intention is to keep James Bond as close to Ian Fleming's original interpretation, in which they're going to be looking to cast an unknown in their late 20s or early 30s to play a blunt instrument, the lethal but extremely dull, uninteresting man to whom things happen, which is how the original creator of James Bond interpreted the character. So again, they're going to be casting after Dune Messiah finishes filming, and they did also confirm every name you've heard of and many you've never heard of. A well-placed mole reveals, "We've been flooded, but understand that the casting process has not begun, and it won't until Denis finishes Dune." So is there a relative unknown that you know out there that you would like to see play James Bond, thinking that they need to be British and they need to be, I guess, handsome? What do you think about an unknown playing James Bond? Do you like this? Were you hoping to see a big name like a Henry Cavill or someone of the sorts? Henry Cavill, Tom Holland, so many different names have been thrown around. Personally, I think this is the right move. I think we are at a stage where a movie star does not lead the franchise, but the franchise can create the movie star. So I think that this makes sense. Wonder why they're going so young. I guess they're looking for someone they could really hang their hat on for a while. Daniel Craig famously, after the third Bond movie, spoke about how brutally taxing it was on his body to get in shape for those movies and to go through the process of filming those movies. But maybe a younger actor, late 20s, early 30s, could guarantee a good long career from it. And you got to keep in mind too that Amazon is the studio behind James Bond. They are not looking to make a movie for the theaters every couple years. They are likely going to be doing a movie and a spin-off show and another spin-off show and a mini series and an animated series. They are going to milk every single money penny out of this. Come on, that was good. That was good, right? Money pen, right? James Bond fans? Right? Okay. If you didn't see last week, we did a full breakdown of the entire history, start to finish, of what happened with the Jimmy Kimmel situation. But some of the fallout of the Jimmy Kimmel situation is still coming out. It's reported that 1.7 million streaming subscriptions were canceled during Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. That's from Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN customers. This boycott, this anger, this reaction was felt at every corner of the internet, at every corner of the public zeitgeist, and people put their money where their mouths are and made Disney Plus feel, or made Disney in general feel the weight of their decision. And ultimately, it must have done something, because coincidentally, around the same time, Disney Plus decided they're going to be raising their prices. The no ads plan is going up to $19 a month, which is the 5th increase in price since it launched in 2020. This is now more than double what it cost at launch. So Disney Plus, man, you got a lot of good stuff on there. I love what you're doing, but it is pretty blatant what you're doing here. I know that Disney lost roughly $4 billion in evaluation during the Jimmy Kimmel suspension, and clearly nearly 2 million subscriptions canceled. That's not a small number by any means. And unfortunately, they are reacting as such. It's just what it is. I'm glad that people stood on their ground and called out Disney for what they did for Kimmel and what they were implying to free speech. It was pretty nasty behavior, all things considered. But it feels like the consumers who stuck around are being punished for not canceling, and that just kind of sucks. So what do you think? Is $20 a month worth it for Disney Plus? That's hard to justify. You could go to a movie a month at the movie theaters, right? You could, I don't know, get a library card and go check out some DVDs for free, basically. So this is tough. This is tough to justify. And yeah, it's just a bummer. So 4 months ago, Donald Trump threatened the entertainment industry with tariffs, and coincidentally, following one of the most beautiful pieces of cinema that speaks to the immigration crisis and speaks to the rise of fascism and white nationalism in our country, Donald Trump once again doubles down and made a statement saying, "Our movie-making business has been stolen from the United States of America by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. California, with its weak and incompetent governor," we'll get back to that, "has been particularly hard hit. Therefore, in order to solve this long-time, never-ending problem, I will be imposing a 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside of the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America Great Again, President DJT." Folks, we have talked about this before. We talked about this 4 months ago. We have been talking about this ever since. You cannot put a tariff on a movie. There's no way to do it. You are hurting more people with this threat than you are benefiting. First and foremost, other countries are not making the decision to steal films from America. Other countries are offering different tax incentives and different locations that the United States just does not have. States like California, states like Georgia, states like New Mexico, states like Texas, they have solid standing film and entertainment industries. But those industries cannot provide everything that every single movie needs. Whether it be budgetary access, whether it be context for the film that is being created, there are so many different reasons for why films are not filming in the States. And on top of that, let us be clear and let us not forget that a lot of these states where film production had been happening were making policy decisions that were severely upsetting to the entertainment industry and the artists within the entertainment industry. Though it is a business, and though we love breaking down the nuances of the business of Hollywood, it is a business made up of artists and decision makers who need those artists in order to create their product. And so when states like Texas and when states like Georgia enact really regressive policies in terms of care for people with reproductive abilities and those sort of things, that has an impact. The entirety of Netflix's Stranger Things production moved from Georgia to New Mexico following the heartbeat bill that passed years ago. The reason that studios started leaving California was because California did not have competitive tax incentives that it did in other areas. So there's just so much nuance for why filming isn't taking place in this country. All of that to say, you cannot put a tariff on a film. Who does that impact? How does that impact? Is there going to be a requirement for a film to be shot 100% in the United States? What about films that film in the States for the most part, but then have parts, maybe a second unit production where stunts and extreme close-ups and insert shots are filmed in Ontario or in Toronto? Or what do you do if a film has a sequence that takes place in Mexico, What do you do? What do you do? Is there a percentage that needs to happen? And if so, how is that tariff implemented? Is that a price on the movie ticket? Is that on the is that on the DVD, on the Steelbook at Best Buy, on Amazon? Is it on the streaming costs? Are we going to inflate streaming costs for direct-to-streaming movies that are being published? What about television? What about reality TV? What about all these other different things? Love Island is an American show that has a fully American cast that films in Fiji. So is Survivor, right? What do these things mean? There's just so much complication, and there's no actual thought being put into place other than, I don't like other countries and I don't like the governor of California. And so I'm going to do documentary films. Nat Geo, yes, sorry. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And it's just Donald Trump has an enemy in the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who is positioning himself to maybe be the Democratic candidate to combat against his administration and whoever they put up as the next presidential candidate. This is not a political stream, but this is all important context. Gavin Newsom has been doing work, and the state of California has been doing work to increase the number of productions. They have completely restructured their pricing and restructured their tax incentives and their different rewards. And we talked about this a few weeks ago on Movie News Monday, but productions are returning to the state of California. There has been a significant increase in productions that are filming in California. And that's what it's going to take. It's not going to be putting an actually inoperable tariff on anything. It's going to take giving incentives and recognizing the benefits for productions happening in this country. I have said this before. I know people personally who are impacted by the lack of productions happening locally. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta was called the Hollywood of the South for a while because so many different things used to film here. Marvel used to film here. They no longer do. They've all relocated to London. But do you know what else is in London? Some incredible tax incentives and a massive, massive studio. And also, a lot of their leading cast and their family are based out of the UK. You know what else is not in London? The same level of paparazzi and, entertainment scoopers who sneak onto sets and take pictures and leak materials, right? There's just so many other things that exist in other countries. But I understand people not getting opportunities. The gig workers in the entertainment industry that won't have guaranteed jobs, the hotel owners, the long-term rental owners, the local restaurants, and all these different people. There's so many folks that lose out from not having productions take place locally. That being said, this is not the solution. What do you think, folks? Do you... I don't know. I don't know how to turn this around. Like, how would you impose a film tariff? How would you impose a 100% film tariff? Where does that cost come out? I am so curious because I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea how you make this work. We talked about this recently. Look, this was as recent as August. A press release from Gavin Newsom. 24 new TV projects bring $1 billion to the California economy. From the newly expanded tax credit program, there's a 400% increase in applications for programs. This is the type of stuff we talked about a few weeks ago on Movie News Monday. Like, it is working. It's the incentives that work. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, let's be real about it. Like, a movie ticket, I believe an average movie ticket is about $17. And so let's say I want to take me and my wife and my two friends to go see, or let's pretend I'm a family of four. I'm a family of 4. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, and we're going to go see Avengers Doomsday. And Avengers Doomsday filmed in London. So that's $17 per ticket times 4 is $68. So 100% tariff means that $17 ticket will instead be a $34 ticket. And so now just in tickets, I'm paying $136 to go to the movies. Now, I know $136 is basically what a Disney Plus subscription is going to cost in December of 2026, but that's an absurd amount of money. I have no idea how anybody's going to go support any movie at all. Like, it's outrageous. In other sad news, I don't know if y'all heard about this, but Apple has postponed Jessica Chastain's thriller, The Savant, amid current events. This is kind of disappointing news, but I do sort of understand where Apple is coming from. Apple put out a statement: after careful consideration, we have made the decision to postpone The Savant on Apple TV+. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to releasing the series at a future date. Look, it is difficult to deny that there is a lot of really troubling things happening in the political climate that make it hard to want to profit on art that speaks to those experiences. However, art is reflective of the real world, and movies and TV are based in reality in some way, shape, or form. They usually have something to say about the world that we live in. And this show, The Savant, this Jessica Chastain show, was about an undercover investigator who infiltrated online hate groups to stop domestic extremists before they act. We're on the verge of serious violence, is a line from the trailer here. I recognize that what happened on September 10th was very challenging for a lot of folks to experience. Regardless of where you stand on your political beliefs and whether or not Charlie Kirk was somebody that you did or did not respect, regardless of all of that, it is very hard to be faced with political violence on a very brutal scale. And it is hard to think about the fact that that took place on the same day where gun violence was happening all over this country. Even just over this weekend, there were 3 different mass shootings that took place. If we had to pause stories being told because of sensitivities that are happening in current events, we would never have art that speaks to current events. Films like One Day After Another would not be able to come out because we still have an immigration crisis going on. And there's still extremism coming from racist white nationalists. We would not have a show like Peacemaker air and speak to the dangers of fascism and Nazism because we have Nazis on the rise, right? Like, there's so many different things that happen in the real world that are reflected in the art that we make. And to let those things silence us and silence artists, I don't think actually sends any message other than we're scared. And I think when we're faced with violence and when we're faced with political violence and hate and all this stuff, I don't know that the answer is let's not address it, even in this fictionalized format. I don't think that's the solution. And so I don't know that Apple made the right call here. And I'll let Jessica Chastain speak on this herself. She put out a lengthy statement here, which I will try to read. I want to say how much I value my partnership with Apple. They've been incredible collaborators, and I deeply respect their team. That said, I want to reach out and let you know that we are not aligned on the decision to pause the release of The Savant. In the last 5 years since we've been making the show, we've seen an unfortunate amount of violence in the United States. The kidnapping attempt on Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the assassination attempts on President Trump, and the political assassinations of Democratic representatives in Minnesota, the attack on Speaker Pelosi's husband, the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. It's really a lot when you sit here and read it all. The recent shooting at an ABC affiliate station in California, and over 300 school shootings across this country. These incidents, though far from encompassing the full range of violence witnessed in the United States, illustrate a broader mindset that crossed the political spectrum and must be confronted. I've never shied away from difficult subjects, and while I wish the show wasn't so relevant, unfortunately, it is. The Savant is about the heroes who work every day to stop violence before it happens, and honoring their courage feels more urgent now than ever. While I respect Apple's decision to pause the release for now, I remain hopeful the show will reach audiences soon. Until then, I'm wishing safety and strength for everyone, and I'll let you know when the Savant is released. And I couldn't have put it better myself. Could not have put it better myself. So much respect to Jessica Chastain for standing on business and really having respect for the work that she and the filmmakers and all the artists that worked on this show really had. And honestly, I understand where Apple TV is coming from, but it was, I believe, not the right move. We are living in challenging times. There is so much that is hard to wrap your head around, but for a lot of folks, it is much easier to wrap your head around when you have something tangible that you could tie it to. And sometimes a good movie and a good show is that for people. It sparks conversations. It sparks introspection. And it pushes you to actually think and confront things. And that's the beautiful thing about film and TV in so many different ways, from incredible, serious dramas on highbrow streaming service to ridiculous, goofy, absurdist TV comedy, action comedies. Like, there's such a broad spectrum of it, and nobody wins. And I think we especially learned this with the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Nobody wins when you just don't talk about it. Some positive news, huh? Why don't we lighten it up a little bit? The Duplass Brothers Productions launch a found footage feature fund for trans filmmakers. This is awesome, and it's great to see an opportunity for a bunch of people who exist, who want to tell stories, who maybe haven't had the opportunity to do so. The Duplass brothers here have created an opportunity for more filmmakers to get their films created. So the Transgender Film Center and the Duplass brothers are partnering, and they are launching a found footage feature fund, a $25,000 production grant for trans filmmakers developing independent feature films. This is to help a handful of different categories. One, this is to help fund more micro-budget feature films, more micro-budget indie films. This is to enable trans filmmakers to tell their stories. Sometimes you just need that one film in your catalog to really launch your career, whether it be a successful short film or a feature film. Being able to create a micro-budget movie is so much of an opportunity that could launch somebody's career. We talked about a couple weeks ago, Curry Barker from the comedy sketch duo created a feature film on $800, and then his next feature film sold for $15 million, right? Like, you have so many different opportunities once you get that first film created. And for people in the transgender community, it can be harder to have a seat at the table. So to have established filmmakers like the Duplass brothers fund and create these different grants for trans filmmakers to be able to finance their productions and get their movies out there is incredible, especially a community that has just seen so much hardship, so much unwarranted hatred and, so many doors slammed in their face over the past few years. An artist is an artist regardless of what their gender identity is. And, sometimes being able to be in the room and exist in the room, a lot of us take for granted. It's not as easy for everyone. And so this is incredible news. I am really hopeful to see more diverse voices both in Hollywood, but in the smaller indie scene, just telling their stories, because there's so many beautiful stories to tell. And they don't always, it's not always as upfront in your face about it. I know that there might be folks out there who are hesitant or maybe, I'm going to say naive instead of ignorant, because I think there's just some folks that just have not been exposed to this world and these type of people. And they maybe have a fear of it being in your face about it or whatever it may be. Trans artists don't only make trans art. There's so much more. This is a found footage feature fund, right? Like, there's so many different types of stories that can be told, from horror movies to comedies to superhero action to espionage to whatever, right? And being somebody who is trans gives you an interesting perspective to be able to write what you know when your experience is so unique, but also it might just be a thing about you, right? So in either case, it's super exciting. I would love to know if you know of any trans or non-binary filmmakers who exist in the large scale or in the small scale that deserve a shout out and deserve appreciation. Top of mind for me, the ones that immediately pop up are the Wachowski siblings, the Wachowski sisters, who even back in their early work, like The Matrix, were speaking to the trans experience in multiple ways through some of their characters. And that was before either one of them was publicly out. That was before the cultural conversation was aware about trans issues. And, they made incredible films that had nothing, that the main subject matter wasn't about the trans experience. And yet when they did touch into that experience, it was really well done and resonated with a lot of folks who didn't specifically have that as their experience, but they could still understand and empathize, because wow, filmmaking is such an empathetical tool, right? Film is such a cathartic art form, and I don't have to be fucking Captain America to understand what it means to be faced with a morally complex situation, right? But when I watch Captain America go through it, I go, man, I get it. So any case, shout out your favorite LGBTQ plus filmmakers in the chat, in the YouTube comments, and let's all discover some fun new artists together. The Social Network 2 is officially titled The Social Reckoning. Jeremy Strong will officially star as Mark Zuckerberg, replacing Jesse Eisenberg. The film will also star Jeremy Allen White, Mikey Madison, and Bill Burr, and it is slated to release October 9th of next year, so this will be quite the turnaround. I have a question, a genuine question. When you have a film that is based on real events, and you make another film on a similar subject matter with a new cast and a new director, is it a sequel or is it just another movie? Now, I know that Aaron Sorkin is writing this film as well. So we do have the same writer from The Social Network to The Social Reckoning. And Aaron Sorkin will be directing. And Aaron Sorkin, in his directorial work, is sort of like a David Fincher light. Like he does, I think, understand some of that style of filmmaking, that tonality. But is this a sequel? Do we call this a sequel? If we don't have Jesse Eisenberg, if we don't have any other returning characters, I don't know. I believe that this will cover the period of Facebook and Meta's downfall with the 2016 election and the congressional hearings and everything that happened because of it, the Russiagate situation and everything like that. I'm just really curious and really worried about this because I do think that the original Social Network was a fascinating movie about insecure people being taken advantage of. You know, like Jesse Eisenberg's Mark Zuckerberg was an insecure person. The Winklevoss twins, played by Armie Hammer, were insecure people. Justin Timberlake was an insecure character. It's all about how powerful, privileged people with insecurities can suddenly navigate and overtake other people's insecurities. And it was a very interesting character drama in that sense, surrounding the founding of what would become one of the most influential websites of our generation. And that was interesting. I don't know what the story is here. And I worry that it would be just the wrong type of story for right now. Especially given how much has changed and how much of a 180 Facebook and Meta have done from 2016 to 2025. You know, over the past 9 years, hell, even just over the past 9 months, there's been such a heel turn between how these companies stand. So I have no idea. But I do wonder how much of the first film will bleed into this one and how much of a sequel it will be, but I don't know. I think there was a time where I was excited about the prospect of this movie. I think I'm more skeptical than anything now, but Jeremy Strong is an incredible performer. Aaron Sorkin is a good writer, so I do imagine that this film could be successful. And hey, maybe this could be Jeremy Strong's this could finally be his win for lead actor. Maybe get him out of the supporting actor category and he could finally win his Golden Globe. What do you think? Are you looking forward to Social Network Part 2? The Social Reckoning? What other social media app deserves its own movie? I think TikTok could definitely have a good one. Twitter, an entire movie about the Twitter sale to Elon Musk. Ugh, actually, no, I would hate to watch that. I want a movie about Vine. A biopic about the rise and fall of Google Plus. You remember Google Plus, guys? You remember? I remember. This one made me mad, and if you've been a longtime viewer, you know that this speaks to exactly what frustrates me about the streaming industry. The Duffer brothers, the creators and showrunners of Stranger Things, want to continue making more TV shows with long release gaps like Stranger Things. If TV shows come out every year, it's diminishing return. I like the build-up. Hey Duffer brothers, I have some terrible news for you. You don't like making TV shows, you like making movies. This is awful. This is an awful take. Besides the fact that you are damaging... I'm just reading chat. Y'all are cracking me up. Besides the fact that you are damaging your audience's retention and that you are damaging the momentum of your show, you are creating impossible difficulties for your filmmakers. And I'm going to take the fan experience out of it. It sucks. I thought Severance was one of the best shows I ever saw season 1. I could not finish season 2 because it was so long in between seasons. I completely forgot what happened. And I didn't want to force myself to rewatch the entire thing again. Right? Stranger Things. Millie Bobby Brown is a fucking mother now. And the show started with her as 11, as an 11-year-old 11, basically. So, besides the experience of being a fan being absolutely miserable, these long gaps are creating awful, awful conditions for your crew and your cast. You are sticking your cast into a limbo in between production where they're not able to commit to other different experiences, and your crew, your day players, your workers, your grips, your production assistants, your crafty, your catering, all of these folks are not contracted people who get the paychecks like the writers' rooms do. They are not going to be hanging out, making their money while you take your sweet time making your show. They are stuck waiting for you for work. And I think one of the most damaging things that the streaming model and the long gaps has created for the entertainment industry is that so much of the work that filmmakers and day players get is from that networking opportunity and knowing folks that you did this show, come with me to this show. If your production is not coming back every year, they don't have work. If I only work with the crew who did Stranger Things, and all of them only really work on Stranger Things, and they're expecting that to be their consistent work, I'm out of a job. So on top of the fact that it's a horrible fan experience, on top of the fact that you are pigeonholing your cast and your directors and other creative top-of-the-line personnel, you're creating awful working consistency for all of your below-the-line players. So Duffer Brothers, you are categorically incorrect. I disagree with you. These gaps are the reason we aren't in the golden age of television anymore. Yes, you nailed it there. I think you absolutely nailed it there. I think that long gaps in between seasons has killed so much of the momentum, the golden age of television. And I think a lot of that, I would not have blamed the showrunners. I would have blamed the streaming companies, because I understand that a lot of streaming companies wanted to wait to get the numbers and the data to come out following the show coming up, where traditional broadcast television, you would have the studios watching the dailies and watching the episodes come out week to week and make their renewal decisions in the mid-season breaks so that you would have this annual release. And the Arrowverse built this with scraps! The Arrowverse would have crossovers in between 6 different TV shows that each had 22 episodes! 22 hour-long episodes from the Arrowverse! Weekly! A Supergirl on Monday, The Flash on Tuesdays, Arrow on Wednesdays, Legend of Tomorrow on Thursdays. And we were sat every day at 8, 9 Central. Talk to me about diminishing returns. Fuck out of here. That being said, I'm really thinking about rewatching Stranger Things ahead of the finale, because I feel like I really like that show, and every time I wait in between seasons, I'm like, I don't think I like it. And then the new season comes out and I go, no, I really like it. Except for that like one episode. Y'all know the one. I don't know. I'm thinking about rewatching Stranger Things. Do you guys want to rewatch it? Do you want to do a watch along? Do a watch along of Stranger Things? Do you guys watch it with me? We have our first official cast photo of Spaceballs 2, The Quest for More Money. Premiering in 2027. Rick Moranis returning from his acting hiatus. Bill Pullman, Lewis Pullman, love the father-son reunion. Mel Brooks, Josh Gad, Keke Palmer. This is an incredibly stacked cast. This is going to be incredible. And eagle-eyed fans will recognize that even this photo right here is a parody of the first official image that released of The Force Awakens for the first cast read. So love love how we're getting into it early. The R2D2 in the crate with the cooler in the crate is great. I'm really optimistic. I do believe we're coming up, we're very close to a comedy renaissance. I think we might be getting there with the small, medium budget comedies really succeeding. But we have Scary Movie 6 and Spaceballs 2 coming up. So, could the parody movie be back? I am very interested. We've talked about this before, that the parody movie did kind of die down due to the speed at which pop culture moves and how accessible parody comedy is now with things like TikTok and social media in general. So I do wonder how big screen comedy parody will play out, but I do think there is a lot of potential here. So I'm remaining very cautiously optimistic, and that's as far as I'll go here. What do you think? Are you looking forward to Spaceballs? Have you seen the original Spaceballs? I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know if it holds up. And I might just want to let my nostalgia tell me it holds up rather than watching it. I don't know, guys. I don't know that I want to rewatch it and find out it doesn't hold. Never seen Spaceballs. Maybe we'll do a movie night. Maybe we do a movie night. What's the best parody movie? Ooh. I think for me, the best parody movie is Scary Movie 3. I think Scary Movie 3 was peak. Scary Movie 1 and 2 for you? Yeah, I say 3. Kevin Hart in this movie. Leslie Nielsen is incredible. Charlie Sheen is so funny in this movie. But this parody Signs, for the most part, like the main plot is revolving Signs. And this movie's just so funny. All the scary movies are good, but I really liked Scary Movie 3. It parodies Signs and The Ring for the most part, on top of others. I will say bonus points for, and this movie just holds up to me because I watched it as a teenager. Maybe I wasn't even a teenager, 2008. But this movie I know for a fact does not hold up. But the superhero movie, which came out parodying Spider-Man and the X-Men movie and Fantastic Four, this one was also a favorite of mine. I am certain this does not hold up. And I don't even think it was actually good back then. But I do have some nostalgia for this one, given where I was at the time when this movie came out. But Scary Movie 3 for me is for sure the best parody movie. Drake Bell's only blockbuster. Yeah, and that's probably for the best. Spaceballs is really good, though. I haven't seen it in a while. I'm looking up more parody movies. Oh, you know what? Not Another Teenage Movie is also pretty good. You know what? I'm going to say this. There is one movie that I think, unfortunately, came out during the death of this category of movie and deserved more credit than it was given. Not Another Teenage Movie's peak. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. A Million Ways to Die in the West. I think this movie had a shot. It just came out like maybe 2 years too. Guys, I am so sorry. I am such a fool. I'm talking about movies that came out. I'm talking about movies that came out in the wrong year, and that's the reason they didn't benefit. Oh my god, the best parody movie by far is Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping. This movie is so fucking good. And if you have not seen this movie, you are missing out on an opportunity to like actually laugh out loud. This movie came out in 2016. It should have come out in like 2011. It did not come out in the right year. But this movie is so funny. It is so incredibly funny. The music is actually good. I listened to this music for a while after this movie came out. Turn Up the Beef, that song was my jam. Oh man, this movie's so good. The bees sequence, there are some incredible gags. This is the best parody movie. For sure. For sure. Let me know. I'll do a rewatch. 100%. Zach Cregger confirms that a Weapons prequel is in the works. In speaking to Fangoria, Cregger did confirm that he and Warner Brothers are exploring a prequel centered on Aunt Gladys. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I like this idea. Cregger did confirm it's real, and I've been talking to Warner Brothers about it. There's a story. I'm pretty excited about it. It's not bullshit. I was ready. I had it kind of in my pocket before the movie even came out. So given that the movie was an incredible success and that there was a lot of questions surrounding Gladys, it makes sense. I hope we see Zach Cregger continue to do more and more, and I would love to see him do more original work. I know that next up on his slate is the Resident Evil reboot film that he's doing, and if that goes well, I would not be surprised to see it become a franchise. An Aunt Gladys movie, yes, I'm totally here for that prequel, but following that, I would love to see Zach get back into making more original stories and not getting trapped in, a specific corner of you're either the Resident Evil guy or you're the weapons guy. I would love to see him continue to make more original work. I did see a very interesting video today speaking on Jordan Peele's filmography and how he kind of got unintentionally pigeonholed into a specific area, and that creator kind of speculating whether or not that had to do with his sort of disappearance from directing over the last few years. I would hate to see that happen to any other filmmaker, but especially an incredibly talented filmmaker in the horror category when we're living in such a great horror renaissance right now. So I will look forward to whatever Zach Cregger does next after Resident Evil, and it sounds like it may be a Weapons prequel, so fun news for Weapons fans. Lionsgate, folks. One of the major mid-tier studios, if we want to call it that, Lionsgate, has been working over the past few years on some sort of artificial intelligence plan with AI startup Runway. And some very interesting news came out about the lack of success that they've been having. If y'all remember, and we actually talked about it on Movie News Monday a few weeks ago, but Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Burns was talking about the benefits of this AI partnership, saying that he could use AI to remake one of his action franchises, John Wick, into a PG-13 anime. Saying 3 hours later, I'll have this movie. What it turns out is coming out is that it's not going to be quite as easy as that. So sources inside the studio are saying the Lionsgate catalog is not enough to create those kind of large-scale projects. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the AI model, but the data set wouldn't be sufficient enough for the ambitious projects they're doing. The Lionsgate catalog is too small to create a model. In fact, the Disney catalog is too small to create a model. So all these folks talking about how artificial intelligence could be used ethically and could be used, trained with a specific set of data to create ethical, artificially generated images. Well, wouldn't you know it? Even a studio as large as Lionsgate, and according to this insider, a studio as massive as Walt Disney and all of their data, to create a generative model using just the data in those libraries would not be enough. So, folks, we've said it time and time again on this broadcast, but there is no such thing as ethical AI. And we continue to hear time and time again that whether it is these models are illegally using copyrighted material, whether or not we are hearing that these models are claiming to be sourced ethically, the truth of the matter is it takes an ungodly amount of data to get a working generative model to do the type of stuff that Hollywood executives and tech startup CEOs are claiming it can do. And it is not going to do that in a way that respects protected works and respects artists who actually put in effort towards their crafts. So will we see a 3-hour output John Wick PG-13 animated movie coming from Lionsgate and Runway anytime soon? Probably not. This makes me even more curious to see what the heck is happening at OpenAI with their original animated film Critters. I would not be shocked to see the level of lawsuits and copyright infringement claims that may come following that movie. You know, they claimed that movie was going to take 9 months to make. I wonder if it's just going to take a couple months to generate everything and put it together, and then the rest of the time it's just going to be hard scrubbing the data to ensure they don't have any Disney stuff or any Universal stuff in there so they don't get slapped with a lawsuit like Midjourney. But what do we think, folks? Is this a win? Is this a win for artists? A fail for AI is a win for artists? I feel like that's kind of where my chat is leaning. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that being the sentiment here. I'm gonna be honest with you. Well, hey, let's keep that AI train rolling as we talk about AI actress Tilly Norwood debuts at the Zurich Summit as the industry grapples with emerging tech. We want Tilly to be the next Scarlett Johansson. Folks, the person you are looking at here on your screen is not a real person. This is Tilly Norwood. She is a fully artificially generated model. Model in every sense of the word. We were in a lot of boardrooms around February time, and everyone was like, no, this is nothing. It's not going to happen. And then by May, people were like, we need to do something with you guys. When we first launched Tilly, people were like, what's that? And now we're going to be announcing which agency is going to be representing her in the next few months. So yes, folks, AI-generated model Tilly Norwood, who we see here debut in this announcement video, which was all fully AI-generated, if you can't tell. Tilly Norwood is going to be represented by a Hollywood casting agency, if these reports are to be believed. This AI-generated actor character is going to be crying on the Graham Norton show and promoting her movies going viral on TikTok. And she's so excited. Yeah, this is so dystopian. This is so dystopian. This is what the company behind the creation of Tilly had to say. We want Tilly to be the next Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman. That's the aim of what we're doing. Audiences, they care about the story, not whether the star has a pulse. Tilly is already attracting interest from talent agencies and fans. The age of synthetic actors isn't coming, it's here. you can just tell that this person just does not see human beings as anything other than things that generate money for him. They don't care whether a star has a pulse. What a grotesque thing to say. What a grotesque thing to say. I don't know. It just feels disgusting. It feels disgusting to be like, we don't care if she's got a pulse. As long as she looks like I could fuck her, I want her to star in my movie. I'm gonna give you $600 million to make her the next, I don't know, Katniss Everdeen. It's awful. I need these tech bros to get the hell out of Hollywood. I need these tech bros who couldn't even write a single line of code in these products that they're pushing to get the heck out of my art. I don't want it. Yeah, this is gross. This is gross. Thankfully, there was a little bit of backpedaling immediately after. Hollywood names Defender as a new tool, not a replacement for human actors. To those who expressed anger over the creation of my AI character, Tilly Norwood, she is not a replacement for a human being, but a creative work, a piece of art. Like many forms of art before her, she sparks conversation, and that in itself shows the power of creativity. Wow, that sounds AI generated, right? Hey ChatGPT, write me a statement that helps me backtrack. I see AI not as a replacement for people, but as a new tool, a new paintbrush, just as animation, puppetry, or CGI opened fresh possibilities without taking away from live acting. AI offers other ways to imagine and build stories. I'm an actor myself, and nothing, certainly not an AI character, can take away the craft or joy of human performance. People don't care, they got a pulse. Nothing can take away the craft of their performance. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. I just can't. I just can't wrap my head around. I just can't wrap my head around it. I just can't wrap my head around it. It's sickening. It's awful. 100%. This is just, the backpedaling is almost more frustrating than the initial statement itself. The initial statement itself is full mask off, like, I'm just here trying to make money. I don't give a shit. And then the backpedaling being like, I just want to make art. I'm just an artist and this is my paintbrush. When you're literally like, yeah, everybody's frothing at the mouth to sign my AI actress. We're gonna make so much fucking money without even having a real person having to do the work. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. What do you think, y'all? Would you watch a movie if it had an AI actor in it? If you knowingly walked into a film that said it had an AI actor, let us not forget what this AI actor looked like in motion. With like no bottom teeth. This is the work that they look. Her teeth are all weird. There's all this weird smoothing going on around her. Her hair doesn't actually exist. You can't follow a single hair on her head. She's got no bottom teeth. They're just blurry straight lines. I don't know. Big no. Big no. All right, folks. Let's get into our DCU and MCU news to wrap up the day. Some good news here in the terms of Superman's success. Superman launched with 13 million views on HBO Max, the biggest movie debut on the service since Barbie. This does not surprise me, folks. I do think that there was less of a draw to go see Superman in the theaters. I do believe it got a lot of positive word of mouth, and I do believe that folks are starting to catch on that superhero movies have a relatively short turnaround to streaming. Was Superman a movie that you needed to see in the movie theaters? I will tell you honestly, even though I enjoyed my movie theater experience with it so very much, I think this was one you could have watched at home, and I would rather you watch the movie at all than not watch it. So But definitely worth watching on streaming for sure. And I'm glad that folks got to see Superman. Thanks for hanging around. I appreciate you for being here for like basically the whole stream. James Gunn also did this interview and spoke about the possibility of Matt Reeves' Batman and a DCU Batman, a different Batman existing simultaneously. And he had this to say about it, which I thought was really funny. I'm not going to lie.
I know everybody probably asks you about Batman casting, but my question is not about casting. I'm curious, you know, we know the Reeves stuff with Batman is going to be separate from what you do in the DC universe with Batman. Do you think audiences, do you ever think about like, oh, our audience is going to follow that? Like there are two separate Batman stories going on? Because I remember like with the X-Men and then the Avengers, sometimes people be like, wait, they can't cross over because Fox and Disney. There were people who didn't know that.
I love how you can just see the gears turning and he goes, how am I going to tactfully answer this question without just going fully mask off? But I do think he goes mask off.
Yeah, but sometimes, people, was it causing anybody grief in any way?
No, I don't think.
Was it causing anybody grief? Were people actually upset that there was no crossover?
I think so.
I think it was the same thing.
It's a good point.
I think that people are really starting to learn about stuff like that. Will it ever cause, you know, one of the weirdest things for me is that big fans are often like, well, listen, I understand this, but normies will never understand this. Casuals will never understand this. But the truth is, guys, that you're the ones that don't understand. The casuals always understand. You can say, oh yeah, he's changed Peacemaker. Yeah, they were, you know, there was some Justice Gang or Justice League was in that. Now it's the Justice Gang, and regular people who just like TV shows are like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then they're done.
And you know what, folks? I'll be honest. James Gunn just clocked me and like my parents. He clocked me, who I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, how are folks going to understand that there's these alternate canons and everything like this? How am I going to explain this, and that? And then, you know, my mom, who loves watching all this stuff, she's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just watching the thing. Well, what does it mean? Like, he's acknowledging, does June Moon exist? So does that mean Enchantress exists? Did the first Suicide Squad movie happen and all this? How's that going to tie in? Because it references Ben Affleck's Batman, but we have maybe the Matt Reeves. No, they don't care. People don't care. People don't care. And at the end of the day, it doesn't actually cause us any real grief. It doesn't cause us any real harm, except for a tiny headache about, like, I want to get it, but I don't get it.
But the people who, you know, really focus on this stuff
we
and
live
go
in
crazy
a bubble.
they're in our bubble.
And we are in a bubble.
And the people in our bubble think that everyone outside of that bubble is too stupid to understand nuance. And it is just totally not the case.
Much respect. And that's why he's running the show. That's why he's running the show. Moving on over to our other universe here. Our other universe, the Marvel Universe. There was, let me start with a rumor and then a confirmation. Apparently, in order to get Spider-Man No Way Home to be a street-level story, allegedly, Marvel Studios had to give something up in order to gain more creative control on Spider-Man Brand New Day. So what that concession might be, we may never know. It may come out in a few years. Could it be whether or not Spider-Man would get the symbiote suit in Secret Wars? Could it be a particular character? Maybe it had to do with Spider-Verse. Who knows? But very interesting to see here. In either case, I think Spider-Man Brand New Day, the next Spider-Man movie, being more down to earth and localized to street level is going to be the right decision and the right creative direction for the character. And with that in mind, we did receive the confirmation that Marvin Jones III will be playing Tombstone in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Marvin Jones is an incredible actor, an incredible performer. He has played Tombstone before in animation. He voiced him in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He has also been a villain in a superhero franchise before. He did play a villain in the Black Lightning TV show as part of the Arrowverse. Man, 3 Arrowverse mentions this stream. Is Tombstone the lead villain or just another villain who is appearing on here? We don't know. We haven't gotten confirmation. All we know is that Tombstone is here, that Scorpion is here, the Punisher is here. How that all ties together, who knows? Are we about to see some sort of gang war take place, some sort of localized street crime? In either case, very exciting, good for Marvin Jones and good for Tombstone, a character who, if you're watching Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, maybe getting a lot more appreciation for their backstory and kind of where they sit in the Spider-Man mythos. But folks, with that, that is going to be it for Movie News Monday. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out the Peacemaker breakdown. Had to make that a separate thing outside of just the Movie News Monday. But if you watch live, thank you so much for hanging out, folks. We do Movie News Monday every single Monday at 8:30 Eastern. Come hang out live. You can influence the conversation, bring up subjects you want me to cover. We jumped all over the place tonight because of the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe, leave a comment. I asked you like 70 million questions. You can answer one of them in the comments. That would be great. If you want to see our content in short form or get updates for when we're going live, make sure you head over to Instagram and TikTok and give us a follow there. But folks, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And I will catch y'all at the movies. That's it.